All right, so 3 years of lifting. What does 3 years of lifting actually look like? This is something a lot of people have actually been asking me about, because for those who don't know, I haven't been doing this all that long. This has been about maybe 3 years and like 2 or 3 months at this point. And it's something where I felt like if you really care about what you're doing, if you really care about making progress and being good at something, you can make it pretty far in a relatively short period of time. And that's what I've tried to do. So a lot of people have asked me, like, how strong are you? What are your relative lifts? What has the experience been like over 3 years? And where could I expect to be in 3 years? So I started off at literally 5'7". At the time I was probably like 5'5" or 5'6". I was younger, and I literally had no muscle to speak of at all. I was completely emaciated. It was after being fat. So I went from fat to emaciated, and then about 3 years ago I said, okay, we have to actually put some size on. So if we were to take a look at a lift, like say triceps here, got my Vulcan grip here. This is on the Nautilus stack, and you know, a lot of people, when they do tricep extensions and things like that of this nature, you know, they're not exactly sure where they should be strength-wise. So for me, and I'm just gonna show you guys some things in this video that are kind of references, as a sort of ballpark right now, I'm extending anywhere from like 33 to like 38 pounds on most things, and that's kind of like where my ballpark is. So I'll get you guys ready for a working set, and you'll kind of see, you know, roughly what we're working with here. But again, the main goal for me over the past 3 years has just been to thoroughly get stronger in every conceivable way. So as you guys see my working set here, you'll notice that over time, this has been a consistent progression of continuously stacking weight, continuously, you know, getting stronger and aiming to be better week to week. So this literally has been me writing down every single lift I've done over the past 3 years. And, you know, a lot of people don't believe in that. They don't believe in like logging their lifts and stuff. And it's kind of crazy to me, because how else are you actually supposed to progress? How are you supposed to actually track your progress? I think it's ridiculous. I don't think there's any other way to actually track your progress if you're not even remembering what you're doing. Some people are intuitive, and they're good enough at lifting to where they can intuitively sort of measure their progress and things like that. But that's going to be very few people, at least in my opinion. So I definitely feel like it is worth it to some degree to actually write your stuff down. So we're going to do both our sides here. I'm probably going to start with my left, and then we'll get to my right. So you guys can see kind of what we're working with. So we're at 22 pounds here, and then I'm going to keep warming up, and we'll get to my working weight here. Okay, so I just finished my left side at 38.5 pounds on my left, and now we're going to do the same thing on my right, so you guys have a reference. This is a 38.5 pound tricep crossbody extension. Now, there are a million different ways to do this, so obviously seeing how strong I am is going to depend on what attachment I'm using and what the stack looks like and all that kind of stuff. So there's really no way to 100% sort of get that down, but just so you guys had that reference, that is what I'm working with the Vulcan grip here. I got one of these, it's pretty good. 38.5 pounds. So we're gonna do the right side here, got it on 38.5, and we're gonna get it going. You guys can see how I do this kind of as a staple tricep movement, given that my triceps right now are pretty weak, so I really do want to bring them up. So here we go. Got this on the right, and we're gonna do it. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Oh, that was 5. And I just love with the high frequency stuff, being able to put this at the beginning and not have it interfere with my chest all that much, because I only did 5 reps. So I'm not getting some crazy throbbing burn here that's going to impede my chest work. And another thing I've realized after over 3 years in the gym now is, with any machine pretty much, I can almost stack it with bad form. That's something that a lot of people do, and I try to avoid as best possible. Now, there's a very, very thin line at certain moments between training with intensity and training with ego, obviously, because training with intensity a lot of times appears off as ego lifting. So we have to sometimes pull ourselves back, correct our form a little bit, because otherwise you'll pretty much at a certain point get strong enough to where you could stack most machines, you could throw around pretty heavy weights, you can throw them around. Can you do them as a really good working set with really good technique? No. So what happens, and I still do this, I think everybody should do this at some point, no one is above this, is pull back a little bit on the load. Pull back, 2.5%, 5%, 10% sometimes, just to make sure that your reps are a little cleaner, and that by humbling yourself and doing that, you won't have to use as much weight to get a really productive working set going. So if we take a look at this row here, I'm at 70 pounds right now. So this is the quick little warming up set here, of course, and we're just gonna feel it out. And again, the main goal is to get as much scapular retraction or pulling those shoulder blades back as much as possible. Now, when I was in Houston with TNF, one of the things that we noticed is that I was sort of instinctively, I think it might have something to do with the scoliosis in my neck, I don't exactly know, but I was instinctively sort of doing this where I was lurching up. I was doing almost like a vertical translation of the scapula here. And the main problem with that is it puts a lot of load like on the neck and like upper trap kind of area, but you're not really getting that lower mid, that full trap stimulus that you want to be getting from a trap row like this. So what I did is, since my experience with TNF and since looking at that, I decided to pull back on the load, maybe, 10, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, nothing too much. So my working weight on here now is about 205, 210, somewhere in that ballpark. Beforehand, it was around 230. So I lightened the weight a little bit, and I'm still happy with that. I still feel like that's decently strong, but again, humbling yourself at times is actually very valuable. So let's watch a working set here real quick. So that was 150. That felt pretty nice. And now we're gonna do a working set. And again, not every person is gonna have perfect execution every single time. Even the best of the best do certain things at certain times where it's like, oh, hey, that looks a little sketch. And it's a matter of actually having the humility to talk to yourself at certain times, be like, hey, look, you know what? My form on this could have been a little better. I'm gonna pull back on the load because I don't wanna injure myself or run out of weight to where you have these funky, lever machines here where you can't even use a gym pin. I don't wanna run out of weight. I wanna make sure I'm able to actually use this machine to the fullest of its ability. So right now, with enough yapping, I got 205 on here. I assume we'll get at least 4 or 5. That seems to be a reasonable ballpark for us right now. And again, the goal here, of course, is to actually pull back and retract the scapula and the shoulder blades. So here we are at 205. I'm gonna go for some really nice form here and intensity. So here we go. Land in that 47 rep range. Here we go. That was pretty nice. Got 5, felt pretty good. Felt I got a nice retraction, and that's just an example of what actually pulling back and working on some technique actually looks like after this amount of time in the gym. All right, and the last sort of reference I'll give you guys as someone who's been training for around 3 years now is this flat press here from Nautilus. This is one of my absolute favorite machines, and we'll see what we can do here. So we got on the back here 2 plates and about 35 pounds. This is a pretty heavy machine for people who use it. So this is kind of, for me at least, one of my go-to sort of chest building staples right now. And again, the goal is just to consistently get stronger over time, man. Don't beat yourself up over the details. We really do just want to get stronger over time. So this machine here has been, a work in progress. I remember when I first sat on it, doing whatever, a plate and a quarter, whatever it was. I mean, nothing amazing. And then now we're finally pushed up to almost 3 plates on this. And then the incline press that I just did, which I don't think is in this video, but the incline press I did, I'm almost at 4 plates. So, just the way these Nautilus machines kind of work, gotta give a breather on the wrist wraps here before my hands lose circulation. But we're gonna get into a working set here in a second. And again, guys, the only person you're competing with is yourself. You're only competing with yourself. You're not, in a race against other people. Just compete with yourself. Try to be better than you were yesterday. That's all my experience has been. Like I said, some people could look at my physique after 3 years and say, oh my God, you look like shit. Or some people could say you look fantastic. Depends on, what lighting I'm in. Do I have a pump? What is the prerogative of the viewer? How do they feel? Like there are a lot of different variables which could affect how my physique is perceived. So the only thing I can do is compete with me of yesterday. That's pretty much what I tell all my clients too. It's like, look, if you're coming to me, obviously you're coming because you want to be better than you were yesterday. You can't come and say, oh, hey, I saw this guy on Instagram. I want to look like this guy. You can't do it. Nothing you can do. It's not possible. You don't have their genetics. So why don't you just compete with yourself? That sounds a lot more reasonable to me. So here we go. Finish everything off here with a nice working set on the flat press. Here we go. Okay, nice and stable, little arch. Here we go. Ready? Let's do it. unfortunate to fail. I haven't failed on here in a while. So that was, I think, 5 failed on 6. So that was pretty good. Last time we got 37.5 on each side for only 3 reps. So I decided to lighten it by 5 pounds total. So now we did 35 and we got, I think, about 5 failed on 6. So I'll take it. Really nice technique, good execution. So happy with all that. And before the video ends, maybe I'll throw in some posing. But yeah.